So let's dive into one of the most brutal and honestly foundational stories in all of Greek mythology. We're talking about Cronus, the Titan king who was so terrified of losing power that he ate his own children. It's an incredible story about prophecy, fear, and a mother's desperate plan that literally shaped the entire cosmos.
And this question, right here, is at the absolute heart of it all. How on earth could a simple rock topple a god? The answer, you'll see, involves a brilliant deception that didn't just save one child. It was the move that changed the divine world forever.
You know these names. These are some of the most powerful gods in the Greek pantheon. But before they were mighty rulers of Olympus, the sea, and the underworld, they were just victims. 5 gods, born into the world only to be immediately swallowed whole by their own father, Cronus. Their prison? A living stomach.
To really get why Cronus was so monstrously paranoid, we have to rewind. Because this cycle of fathers fearing their sons, of violence and tyranny, it actually didn't start with him. No, this was a dark inheritance, one passed down from his own father.
Okay, so it all began with the very first king of the cosmos, Uranus, the sky. He had these monstrous children, and was so repulsed by them, he just locked them away in Tartarus, the deepest pit of the underworld. His wife, Gaia, the Earth, was, as you can imagine, furious. She begged her other sons, the Titans, to rise up, but only Cronus, the youngest, had the guts to do it. He overthrows his dad, takes power, and then he does the exact same thing, breaks his promise, and leaves his brothers rotting in that prison. The new boss was just like the old boss.
And here's where you see the really chilling parallel. Uranus was afraid of his monstrous kids. Cronus would become terrified of his beautiful, divine ones. Both of them imprisoned their own siblings, and both were destined to be overthrown by their own sons. It's tragic, really. Cronus becomes a perfect echo of the very tyrant he just got rid of.
And this was the prophecy that changed everything, delivered by his own parents, no less. This one sentence gets lodged in Cronus's mind and just festers. It turns into this all-consuming terror that's going to drive every single decision he makes from here on out.
So what's Cronus's brilliant solution to this prophecy? Well, it was as direct as it was horrific. He decides to just eliminate the threat at the source. One by one, as his wife Rhea gives birth, he snatches the infants and swallows them whole. Can you even imagine the horror for Rhea? 5 times, 5 of her children gone, vanished into their father's gut.
But here's the thing, you can only push a mother so far. Rhea's unbearable grief starts to harden, to transform into this cold, calculated resolve. She was absolutely not going to lose another child. The ancient poet Hesiod really captures it with this line. It wasn't just sadness, it was unforgettable grief. Think about that for a second. The pain of bringing life into the world only to watch it be consumed over and over and over. That profound grief, that became the fuel for her rebellion.
So Rhea comes up with this incredibly brave, strategic plan. First, she goes to her own parents. Yep, the same ones who gave Cronus the prophecy, and begs them for help. On their advice, she flees to the remote island of Crete to give birth in secret. Then she finds the perfect decoy, a rock about the size of a newborn. And the final step, the most dangerous part of all, was to walk up to her husband and present him with this fake baby.
And it worked. Cronus, so blinded by his fear, so arrogant, he didn't even check. He just snatched the swaddled bundle from her and swallowed it in one gulp. He was completely fooled. In that moment, a cold, hard stone took the place of the sun destined to destroy him. With that single act, Cronus sealed his own fate.
Okay, so the deception was a success, but that created a whole new problem for Rhea. How in the world do you hide a baby god from the king of the entire cosmos?
Well, the solution was absolutely ingenious. A group of armed spirits, the Carides, were tasked with guarding the infant Zeus, and their main job, it was to make a ton of noise. Whenever the baby cried, they would just start clashing their spears against their shields, creating this deafening racket that completely masked the sound. Cronus, up in the heavens, would never hear a thing.
So you've got this whole top-secret operation. Zeus is hidden away in a cave, raised by nymphs, fed milk from a divine goat named Amalthea, and all the while, he's protected by this constant shield of sound from the Curites. This secret upbringing allowed him to grow into a strong, powerful young god, completely off the radar of the father who thought he'd been devoured years ago.
So, years go by, and that hidden baby prince, he's grown up, he's a king in his own right, ready to take his place. The stage was finally set for the ultimate confrontation. That prophecy was about to be fulfilled. Now, Zeus didn't just go in with brute force. He was smart. He allied himself with Metis, the goddess of wisdom, and she concocted this special potion. Zeus managed to trick his father into drinking it, and the effect was, well, let's just say it was immediate and violent.
Can you just picture this moment? Cronus starts to retch, and the very first thing he throws up is the stone, the symbol of Rhea's deception, of his own incredible foolishness. It's the physical proof of his failure to control his own fate.
And then, after the stone, came the children. But they weren't helpless infants anymore. They were fully grown, powerful gods, finally freed from that grotesque prison, and you can bet they were furious. Reunited with their younger brother Zeus, they were ready for war.
And world war it was. The Titanomachy wasn't some quick battle. This was a brutal, cosmos-shattering conflict that raged for a full decade. The old order of the Titans fighting desperately against this new generation of gods. The whole universe must have been shaking.
So what was the turning point? Well, Zeus made a strategic move his father never did. He freed his monstrous uncles, the Cyclops, from Tartarus. And in gratitude, they forged him the ultimate weapon. A weapon of pure, raw power that could shatter mountains. The Thunderbolt. And that changed everything.
With the Thunderbolt in hand, victory was pretty much guaranteed. The Titans were defeated and cast down into Tartarus, the very same prison Cronus had kept his own brothers in. His tyranny was over, and it was time to build a whole new world.
So the three victorious brothers, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, divided up the spoils. They drew lots to see who would rule what. Zeus, of course, got the heavens and became the new king of all the gods. Poseidon took the seas, and Hades became the ruler of the underworld. This right here established the order that would define Greek mythology for centuries.
And here we are at the story's powerful central irony. Every single monstrous thing Cronus did to escape that prophecy, swallowing his kids, falling for the decoy, was the very thing that made it all come true. By trying so desperately to destroy his son, he guaranteed that son's secret survival and his eventual rise to power.
And that leaves us with this final, timeless question, doesn't it? Cronus, we literally handed a stone, a symbol of his fate. But was it really the prophecy that sealed his doom, or was it his own terrified, tyrannical choices? It's a question that echoes far beyond these ancient myths.